All right, guys, welcome to Game 3 of Bird's Nest going up against Wild. My name is Prue Attitude, here with Ever, casting some CEVO Season 4. And you guys, be sure to follow them at Twitter, on Twitter, rather, at CEVO, to be notified of kind of the news that are happening within CEVO, because after this season is over, there will be a Season 5. If you have a team, or even rather just a group of friends, you can join the open league. So jump in, get some experience, have some great fun with some good friends, and even have that potential to win some money off of it. So all good things. CEVO is definitely not going anywhere, and I'm so excited how far we've gotten in the season already, and just the results that we've seen with how CEVO is growing and how some of the teams in the tournaments are growing as well, going from amateur teams to more well-known professional teams.
Yeah, definitely an exciting tournament. Teams have gotten substantially better over the course of even the past 3 seasons that we had an opportunity to watch but not cast, and that's why we kind of stepped in and made some contact to see if we could actually cast this time around, because it's such a fun tournament to be a part of. I really like the North American scene, and I would love to see for more organizations to start picking up. I'm still waiting, Demon, for those two Dignitas US teams to be announced, all right? Like, can we get down to it, please? But
We
anyways,
need some
Evoker.
teams. They've got to represent. We need more
I
US
know.
teams.
I'm so disappointed at the outcome of Liquid cutting Fluff and stuff. I know there was a very frustrated blog post that occurred there. Uh, what American team do we honestly have to root for other than Sad Boys? I'm excited to see Sad Boys in person. I hope the ego doesn't become consuming, as I think they still have a very young squad and a very talented squad. And sometimes they can be humble, and sometimes they can be very IXDL-esque. So with that being
Yes.
said, we'll see how it goes over at the International once the qualifiers get going. I don't think Sad Boys will get an instantaneous invite by any means. I think that there's such a plethora of talent over in the European and Chinese scene that no American team takes an invite this year. But that is my personal opinion. Unless it's going to be Liquid, I don't see an in for any of the teams based on current merits and performance. Ember Spirit picked up as the ban is exchanged for Dazzle. So same bans, -1, and that picks up the ES, who is an insanely hard carry, very effective early on in mid through elements such as Flame Guard. It seems like a weak spell, it's just not. It burns so quickly, and it shields him. Visage, again, also picked up for Bird's Nest. We'll see if they can string things together this time around. I don't think they played poorly. They definitely came back last game, but I don't think they had a good enough end game to deal with the monster of a Morphling that was just bearing down on them.
I still honestly think that it was that one fight in the woods. All the stars just aligned. I think if that fight hadn't happened, or at least had been a little more favorable for Bird's Nest, I think they would have been fine. I still hold true that they could have won later on the game. It just would have came down to some really, really good team fights out of them, and more picking off Morphling. But Impulse did a good job after, the 30-minute mark or so. He kind of learned his lesson. He was getting picked off over and over again, like 3 in a row, I think is what it was. And after that, he was just, all right, I can't be out. I can't get jumped on by the Doom and get doomed out and just die immediately. After that, he stayed with his team, and he performed so well, he didn't get just blitzed out of the fight immediately. So he was actually able to do what Morphling does, which is deal a lot of damage.
All right, well, I don't know. I don't want to disagree with you. I think you're kind of right in the sense that that team fight was just a detriment. But don't you think it could have gone back to, and I know I'm responding to the first half of your statement. I'm so lost in thought about that and the way things progressed. I still think that the landscape could have been changed on items, not even necessarily that fight. Don't you think if Doom goes in with a BKB there instead of a mech, that they just stars align and they win?
He wouldn't have gotten doomed out in that fight, or rather stomped out from Slaughter in that. It definitely could have
Even
changed
with
some of these
Ogre Club?
fights.
Or wouldn't have or would have?
He wouldn't have gotten stunned
Oh,
out
he
because Slaughter.
didn't even really get smashed by Slaughter as much as Static Storm, I think, just nommed him. Like,
Yeah, well,
it
he
deals
got
a
he got
lot.
stunned first, and then it was the Static Storm. So it was
Okay.
kind of both. So I agree. Maybe the BKB would have helped out more. Visage could have picked up that mech too. He was getting okay form that he could have gotten it. So I don't know. I feel like the game was really anybody's game. Anybody could have taken that game, and it does come down to some really big team fights. And there's so many small details in team fights too that there's just so much that goes into it that can really sway who's gonna be the victor of that.
3 questions.
Sure.
Why Earthshaker? So that's
Um,
question number 1.
Are they
I
gonna
don't.
pick up a PL? That's
I
the
don't see
only
it.
thing I could think of.
I maybe. Okay. Second question. How do you think that Impulse will do on Invoker comparatively towards what we've seen? Can't even think. Big Bad Bird is done on middle, so it's going to be Invoker versus Ember, which is my follow-up question. Is how do you think the matchup will play out? But how do you think Impulse is going to play? Do you think Quas Wex or Exort?
I think probably cost Wegs. He has a big shootiful because I think we got a pretty good show out Big Bad Bird in the first game that we saw him playing that Invoker. But from what we saw last time, Impulse does play a very good mid, so I think we're gonna see just as well a good game out of him.
Yeah.
Was that maybe 2 questions or 3 questions? I lost
No,
count.
that was 3.
Okay.
Earthshaker was the first. And then
Right.
it was Quaswax, and it's how is he going to do against Emperor. So I guess it's a follow-up. So anyways, Vengeful and Batrider picked up. Vengeful, the favorite to be picked up in exchange for the Batrider, can get you out of Lasso, even if you swap the Bat, which is something I didn't know. So it just breaks the tether, awkwardly enough. But it makes sense that it does, I suppose. But Tinker gets grabbed. And I actually think that it is legitimately going to be the off lane. They're going to stick Bat in the jungle, Ember mid, and Visage support top on a carry. That makes the most sense to me, is doing Ancients, as well as Tinker can kind of go over there, as well as Bat even being able to go to the off lane. But don't be surprised to see him in the middle lane if they elect to run against that. And this is the first time we've gotten to see a Darkseer in a while. And depending on the final pickup, I kind of like it because it's 3 melee. But the replicates aren't really going to deal that much.
An Ember, I guess, yeah, it's
just
not.
the Ember.
It's not
yeah,
going to be a
and then the
really
Tinker,
powerful
yeah.
one. Yeah, that's true.
But I like gathering them up inside the Disruptor ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I'm like, yeah.
It's kind of wombo combo-y. But yeah, if you do that Vacuum Disruptor ult, Invoker AoEs, it's all really good stuff for them.
Who doesn't love some AoEs?
Yeah, seriously. I'm curious to see this last pickup for them. I feel like the laning presence so far for Wild might be a little bit weaker in that VS and Disruptor, but I would like to see some roaming out of them to really kind of control the lanes better. If Bird's Nest does do that laning setup like you mentioned earlier, it's going to spread their experience out a lot. And with the Vengeful Spirit Disruptor in a lane, I feel that that lane might be a little bit weaker. It kind of depends on this last pickup for that kind of third element there. But I feel like that lane might be a little bit, I don't know, he's
so
really,
roamy.
He is so roaming. So if he roams well, but in an actual lane support, he doesn't have a lot of range. He has that single target stun, which is great.
That's not his job. His job is to just smash, pow, smoke.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
It's a shutdown element, and I love it against even someone like Ember. Even though it takes him to level 6 to get away with Remnant, if they roam before that, he's going to have no opportunity to get away except for a snare, and it happens more times than not in the professional level. But if it's not an Ember, there is no real escape element that's going to save the life of a Batrider or Tinker. Tinker will simply have to man up. Batrider would have to try and Firefly up a hill and hope that he can kind of ride a line and maybe get away. But if he doesn't see it coming in time, he's dead to rights. So I love it. I love it in this context. I think it deals a lot of damage very early on, and even later stages like early mid game, maybe mid game. Like you're talking about dealing a lot of damage in Magic Missile. The aura is always cool to add on. It depends on who he adds it on to. Invoker will certainly benefit. If you pick up something like Luna and go deep into the aura strat, I would be all for this lineup. Like, give it a huge thumbs up. But I don't know if that'll happen as Mirana gets grabbed for the Bird's Nest as either the carry element if they elect to run Emperor in the middle, or an offlane element, but they have like 3 potential off lanes. So I'm going to answer a question in the chat real quick before I turn it back over to you. Someone asked me what I think of the new Architects album, and I've been listening to the new Law Dispute album. So I haven't had a chance to listen to it.
The one thing that can pull Ever away from
music,
Dota
right?
is music.
I went to a lot of Dispute Pianos Become the Teeth show, and it was just fantastic. I highly recommend listening to the new album. It has a little taste, I think, for everyone, as long as you can enjoy Jordan's voice. Anyways, that is it, as Spec is the final element picked up in the draft. I wanted a Luna, didn't get it, but the hard carry instead is Andrew Riley on the Spec. I'll let you do intros on Wild, since I did them last time.
All right, Wild on the Radiant side this time. Once again, it's been the same laning side setup, I guess is the better term, for all 3 games. So Impulse is going to be on Invoker. We have Futse on the Vengeful Spirit. John Pak. Is that how we were saying it? Or is my country still coming out?
Jean Pak?
Jean Pak. All right. It's going to be on the
Kinda like
Disruptor.
Puck, but Puck.
Yeah, a little bit. Andrew Riley on the carry Spectre, and top lane is Rolo once again, taking up that off lane role. Dire side.
Man, give me a second. I was typing a response. Someone called me out for calling EG sad boys still, but they're still sad boys. Like, just because Dignitas picked up bottom doesn't mean that they weren't called bottom anymore. I miss those guys.
Yeah,
I miss
they
really
had such a
aggro
good
sneaking
run.
plays.
I know.
And then remember when Sneaking joined into our tournament for NLG series and he just smashed face on mid the entire time. He was probably the reason why they won. He's such an overwhelming force. He reminds me a lot of the playstyle of Arteezy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I need to reboot my game, so I'm going to do a quick introduction before my words are kind of visual torn out. I don't know what causes this on my machine, but anyways. Evs on Mirana, Big Bad Bird on Tinker, 604 on Visage, Revolution, Batrider, and W4 on the Ember Spirit. It looks to be Mirana is the safe lane farm. Actually, Ember Spirit going there, so Mirana support, Tinker mid lane, off lane Revolution, and I'm going to hop out while you kind of go through the initial last hit phase.
Yeah, so the laning is a bit different. Batrider will be going up against this VS, Disruptor, and Spectre lane. And they have killing power, for sure. They could definitely take down a Batrider if he gets out of position. Mid lane, Big Bad Bird will be going up against Impulse on this Invoker. And with the plus damage, I feel like he's going to be able to just harass Big Bad Bird out of this lane pretty successfully, at least until there is a bottle picked up for this Tinker. Top lane, Rolo. We've seen him in this off lane every single game, and I feel like he does such a fantastic job in it. It's not like he's just getting completely out of experience range or getting picked off over and over again. So I feel like he really holds his own in this lane, despite anything that the other team throws at him for Bird's Nest, actually being the other team. W4 on the carry on this Ember Spirit. Getting some farm up here, but a melee going up against this Ion Shell is going to be kind of brutal for W4, so we will see how he fares. Bottom lane, Batrider in some trouble. Revolution is going to go ahead and pop his Firefly, but it might not be enough. We do have the Lightning Strike going on top of him. They can't chase him over the cliffs, though, so really good path of exit from Revolution as he does make it away, but he's going to have to burn through some of his regen to continue staying in this lane, but that just gives Andrew the opportunity to continue getting this farm uncontested.
Trying to get back in, man.
Yeah, it's still not here. Rolo pulling the creeps over, or trying to pull the creeps over. Will he get it? No, he doesn't. I thought he was going to get that.
You're so excited over a creep pull.
I know.
How did this happen?
I'm getting tired, so it might get a little silly from here
Is he going to
on out.
pull? Oh, God, is it going to happen?
It just reminds me of the international when AC was casting, and like it was such a big thing when the Chinese teams were doing Ancients.
No, I was the one yelling in the crowd the entire time.
I believe it.
Out. No, I literally started up that Roshan chant in the crowd because we wanted them to do Roche. And then AC kind of took it a step further with Draskell and was like, hey, we're just going to call out every time Ancients are done too. But nothing else was happening, so why not?
Yeah.
And then we started slow clapping, trying to get the teams to fight and let them know that they were there. I thought that was pretty creative. I'm like, we're going to slow clap guys as they get closer to each other so they know this is a moment of suspense that's building.
They probably had no idea.
Yeah, no, they really didn't have any clue because they didn't care. They just kept avoiding team fights until they were ready. They're Chinese, right? Rolo right on top of the Visage, though, has level 2, so he's able to get away with that Surge even against a early Grave Chill. So not much they can do to lock him down unless Ember is going to land a snare during the Surge. And it's subjective to how far away Rolo actually is, though. That's my lead concern here, is that if Rolo's too far away, you can throw the snare, but the projectile time spent in the air is going to be its undoing, unfortunately. And both Ion Shells expire. He's going to be able to garner some farm, but Darkseer just crushes melee carries, and that's why I for sure thought they would farm the Mirana instead, send Ember Spirit middle. They have great jungle rotational options. Even if one of them doesn't get all of the money, they can split the experience. One can do Ancients, one can do jungle. There's a lot of things you can do to make this livable. But instead, Revolution, you see hidden well into the trees right here over in the back, seeing what he can do. They have an idea what's going on. He does not have a port, and he's dead. That is first blood. So they spot him out. They know exactly what's going on. Andrew going to follow him right into the trees, and he burns the trees with him. So nothing they can do. W4 drawing first blood on an overextended Darkseer top, but it's not going to be first blood. I just lied to everyone's face thinking that Darkseer was playing too good, but he wasn't. My bad.
Yeah, he got a little too close for comfort. I was watching bottom, so I'm not sure what happened, but it definitely involved a, flame guard for sure, but I'm assuming searing chains on top of that to kind of lock him down. I know Visage was looping around just before I looked to the bottom lane, so I think they really just caught him out of position, honestly. But Rolo's back to that bottom lane. Still, Evs is here looking to either get a kill on Invoker or maybe... I don't think he was trying to snipe out a courier or anything. I think he was honestly trying to get the kill, but he's still at level 1, so it's not like he can just leap over the cliff if he does land an arrow.
He's just landing an arrow, proof. That's all he's doing. The laser and the rockets should be enough.
I'm sorry. I think too much into it, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's enough. But honestly, at level 1, it's not gonna happen. He's got a smoke. Even had backup there. Sunstrike forthcoming. Ooh, narrowly gets to the point of killing him and goes down to about 120 HP and not able to finish it off. Rolo gonna have to play a little bit more careful out of this top side now that he's gone down once. There is an obs to spot out the Visage rotation, which is why I was so shocked that they managed to get that kill. And what exactly was it that allowed them to know that Revolution was in the trees? I don't think Firefly revealed it, but they knew exactly what was going on, and I'm not sure how. Does Firefly, when he's above the tree line, can they share vision with him?
They wouldn't share vision, so I don't think
like
they
not
could
share.
see him.
Sorry, share is an inappropriate term. Okay, so someone's Fireflied here. If your vision extends out to here, where it was in this hedge line, is that enough to spot him out? Is my question.
Maybe.
I don't. Is he above the trees? Like, so you can see him, or is he still considered hidden by the trees?
He would be above the trees, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so it was daytime and his vision should have been good enough. Molo in a spot of trouble right now. Gonna go to the secret shop, buy a port, and just die, unfortunately. So Sal forward, Remnant coming, Sunstrike to support, seeing if they can get a kill on W4. He doesn't even have enough mana for the Ion Shell to snuff out W4, and that is curtains again for him. And Ember Spirit, who has Poor Man's Shield, Ring, and Phase Boots just 6 minutes into this game, is going to be a freight train in a matter of moments here if this continues. And this is the first off lane that we've seen Rolo have where he is behind.
And you know, honestly, it's such a common thing for the off-lane hero to come in here and hide in this little area. Even like this little spot right here, we've seen heroes like Puck just hide in the little like tree nook here. So it could have just been something like, hey, maybe there's a hero here. Why not check? It's kind of like similar to this bottom lane here if you're pushing the tower. You know, sometimes heroes will hide over here if they were creeping and they notice that you're coming. You just check it, just kind of, you know, to know or to see if something's there. So could have been that, or they could have actually seen them. I wasn't looking on the bottom lane before that actually happened, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other.
Oh, what if I ask you one way or the other, right?
I will say that it was some really good sixth sense, and they just went there to check. That's my final decision.
Jean-Pac in trouble. Revolution going to see if he can save Big Bad Bird, who is over at the Ancients. Andrew ults in on that spec haunt and is able to attain a kill with his own phase boots. Not quite as farmed up as the Ember Spirit, but he's well on his way. And taking a look over at last hit, since we haven't addressed it, 31 for 12 on spec. Andrew is such an opposing force in a lane that he denies out very well, and that's why Revolution is only level 4 about 8 minutes into this exchange. 40 for 12 on the Invoker against the Tinker is 29 for 9, but Tinker goes down trying to take the Ancients and just get the Batrider into the game. So I said that they synergize well, but I really don't know how I feel about that decision to move over to the Ancients that early. Just it was a mistake. Good job for Disruptor catching it out. Evs hasn't been impactful at all, and I really think these lanes feel awkward for Bird's Nest. They're not settling into them well enough, as Jean-Pac is smoked up on Disruptor right above Big Bad Bird. It's going to walk right into a March and Kinetic Field. Can Invoker follow this through? Port support incoming out of this mid lane. 604 trying to get on top of at least Invoker to slow him down. They're both below half HP, but nothing's going to come. Arrow narrowly missing Impulse, who jukes away and is finally going to go back. What a weird set of events, but don't you think it feels like Bird's Nest feels a little more flat-footed than they have all night? I
Yeah,
think
I
W4,
liked
he's
your
rolling,
lineup,
man.
honestly. I think that was a little more optimal. You spread it out the experience a little bit more. And while it might have been a little more risky, I think you would have, in the long run, gotten more farm and levels doing that instead. With Big Bad Bird rotating to the Ancients, they were stacked up at the very least, but I don't know if they spotted out the March coming through with this ward or not, but they jumped on top of it once again, so they're not allowing Bird's Nest to get any really good solid opportunities for farm. And as a result, you see a Tinker who's still trying to farm up to those Boots of Travel, Revolution on the Batrider who isn't even really close to his Blink Dagger, and he's still sitting at level 5, so it's a little rough. Oh, Evs is in trouble. Gets glimpsed back. He's definitely in trouble. Cold Snap is applied, and he does go down just from a few right clicks. TP does come on through. Gets canceled. He saw the ring coming up and did not want to get caught in that, rather.
You're making me catch my breath, Privilege. Like I'm talking a lot. I'm trying. It's game 3.
Sorry.
Give me a break. I've been rambling for days.
I'm trying. I'm sleepy, so I'm just like it's hard to kind
You're
of
like,
follow
Ember's
what's going
got
on.
this. Sentry Ward finally up on the stacks because they recognize they have ease of doing it both through the Tinker element as well as Ember coming over to be a huge benefactor of that golden experience. So they're not wanting it to happen. We'll see exactly where they go from here. Andrew is purchasing something. It's on the courier. Courier, what are you? You are a drum. All right, drums make sense, I guess. It's not quite a radiance with the amount of free farm he's kind of garnered. Though taking a look at net worth, he's not game leading. He's 4.3k, same as the Invoker and the Ember. The Ember, the only really high-end contribution. And you told me Quas Wex. You lied right to my face in the draft. This is definitely what
I'm
Exort
not
looks
guessing
like.
good today.
No, this is definitely an Exort build. But it looks like Evs is going to get caught out by 2 support. He immediately going to go down, cannot disjoint the magic missile. And actually, oh god, narrowly gets away. But Haunt shoring things up for Andrew Riley on that spec. Didn't even need to attend that fight in order to obtain the kill. And as a result, he hops up in gold. He's at 900 again after just buying these drums 11 minutes in. He's not doing spectacular, but he's certainly doing well enough to give his team an opportunity to have an advantage. Stun from Footsie on Tinker to make sure he doesn't take a lot of damage up close to a tower with a Mirana forthcoming. Impulse not doing too bad for himself as well, really going the Midas build, and it's going to allow him to grab things such as Force Staff shortly, I imagine, and then he'll be a heavy initiation on the team fights. You know, I would have preferred to see Exort last game, so we don't see Exort, right? We see, like, Deafening Blast, like, would have been a great disarm element against that lineup because it wouldn't have popped the sphere. Was Invoker last game? No, Invoker was the game
First
before
game,
that, right?
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so the first game, Deafening Blast would have been much more effective, in my opinion, against many of those heroes that we saw that were indeed melee and needed to benefit from those hits. So now we actually see it in a context. I think I would have preferred to see Quas Wex because if an EMP lands against a lot of these heroes, there's not much that they can do. Taking that on the side for a second as we have Footsie and Jean Pox smoked up again, this time with some company, seeing if they can pick off Evs. If Evs can manage to get away from the stun on a disjoint from Leap, he will live. If not, he will die. And we'll see what happens as an Obs is planted right on top of the sentry from Tinker. They want to see if they can grab him. Smoke is wearing off. It's not as long of a duration as it once was, so they're going to walk right over that Obs. Now they see it, and Smoke is all for naught. They should have just gone for Evs, but I don't think Andrew needs it. Andrew is sitting comfortably here. Even if he goes something like Yasha into a Manta style eventually, just get Yasha for increased attack speed and movement to be effective, I think that's enough in this fight. And if he manages the spiral here shortly, you could see a very early Radiance coming up against relatively squishy heroes. But don't you think EMP would have been more effective? I don't know. I get Sunstrike snipes out a lot, but if Ember throws up that Flame Guard, it's not really going to kill him.
Yeah, maybe he was hoping to help out more earlier on in the game with those Sunstrikes. I don't know. Invoker is not one of my best well-known heroes, but later on it's definitely going to give him a lot of options going to that Exort. The thing that I was going to say, though, if they dove on Evs on this bottom lane, I don't think it would have been worth it. You could have had two towers here that could provide sources of TPs and could potentially lose a hero or two in the process. And like you said, I agree with you that Andrew probably didn't even need that kill. Evs has been shut down enough this game, and I feel like every single game in this series, he's gotten shafted in some way or another. He's sitting at a low level this game. He's already had 2 deaths in his name. Mid lane, we do have some action going down. Big Bad Bird gets stunned out from Futsi. A TP does come on through. It's going to be in the form of this Ember Spear. He gets in there with a sleight of fist. And meanwhile, Big Bad Bird does continue to survive as Evs goes down in the bottom lane. Rolo here trying to continue to take down these heroes, but W4 is proving to be pretty tanky with that Flame Guard. And that's it. No one dies except for Evs.
That haunt, so very sneaky.
Is that what killed Evs?
No, Haunt came out right at the end and nearly killed the Tinker.
Oh, yeah.
It was a cute play. He almost got another one from afar. Had he gotten that, that would have just been such a monster of a play. He's already spiraling now that they haven't shut him down. 2.6k as Batrider picks up his Blink Dagger. We need to see if Tinker is going to pick up one of his own here as he's got 700G. Arrow forthcoming. Does manage to land on Andrew, who is not paying attention and actually has a tower focusing him. He's in trouble. Glimpse back on Evs. Evs doesn't really need to follow this through. Only W4. W4 having trouble getting the illusion forward, and Andrew just simply is able to throw a dagger and get kind of away with this familiars, man.
Yeah, spotted him out the whole time.
Yeah, just spot
vision. Him
out. He's like, hey, I'm trying to get away and live here. But that didn't happen. He's still at 2,600, but man, no dice.
Yep.
No dice.
Eagle
Rolo
in the sky.
cutting off bottom lane. Yeah, I know, right? This Visage guy. What a guy.
What a guy. He provides so much to a team, honestly. He's such a well-rounded hero, and familiars never fall off in the game. They're always going to be useful for scouting or, you know, comboing stuns together, so he's just such a very useful hero. W4 picks off a kill in the bottom lane on that Vengeful Spear, who happened to be there almost all alone. John Pak was there nearby, but couldn't really help him out too much. Glimpse was used, but it did not save that VS in time. Meanwhile, Rolo, he's been on this top lane for a while. He's got decent enough farm sitting at 72, so Ion Shell is yielding him quite a bit as he has the mech finished up as well as the slow ring and some boots there. 604 looping around, seeing if he can get Rolo out of position. We do have the Batrider nearby as well, hoping to get a jump on him. He does have that Blink Dagger finished up. Meanwhile, there's some action in the mid lane. Where was this? Yeah.
I was watching this the entire time.
Should have just been like ever. I mean,
I should have been like ever. Yeah, talking to myself. That makes me.
It wouldn't be the first time. God, I'm getting so tired. I can't even like think clearly.
Yeah,
anymore.
no. Invoker jumped on the Tinker, managed to kill. Ev's backup being there. The right clicks. Forcing the tower attack down onto him. He wasn't able to shirk it off. He goes down as well. He does exchange, and Evs kind of gets back into the game a little bit there. Level 8, in terms of experience, that was a good jolt for them. You'll notice that the graph is for once in Bird's Nest's favor since the beginning of the game. It's only happened one other time, and that was due to W4 kind of managing to handle the top lane. Difference in gold earned is the differentiating factor right now as Spec has farmed, but they did manage to shut him down right as I mentioned they should have. And it was just a good arrow setup. They're going to see if they can get it again. W4 roams on into this lane and kind of AoEs some of these creeps down, seeing what he can get done. But the support system for Andrew is forthcoming as mid is taken, as well as a familiar, almost 2 familiars there for the Invoker. So Invoker cashing in on some much needed gold. 7,500 net worth to him, 7.4k on Spec, causing all sorts of problems as 3 look to rotate in on him. Grave Chill applied. They're going to try and follow it up. Deafening Blast disarms. Batrider rope is curtains for him. Impulse goes down to 3, rotating over. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, trying to get things done against an Ember who just gets glimpsed, but then remnants away. What a lucky man, W4.
He's
what a player.
Slippery hero.
What a player.
It's like Timbersaw, Ember, they're just slippery. They're so hard to lock down. You really have to have quite a bit. And I think there's enough on Wild's side, especially with that VS. It's a great single target stun. Glimpse, providing that you have the vision to glimpse back, is great for an Ember as well to pull him back. but you definitely need some other lockdown on top of that. Good rotations out of Bird's Nest so far. I think they're doing a great job at this part of the game, 18 minutes in, especially now with that Bat Rider having the Blink Dagger. W4 can actually do some rotations now on top of that. He goes into the Battle Fury build with the Phase Boot, so he's a pretty big force to be reckoned with, sitting at level 11 right now, and that's going to help shore up this middle part of the game pretty nicely. Hopefully he can continue snowballing and be a force to be reckoned with later on in the game, which he has to do against Andrew Riley on this Spectre. You've got to make sure that you can keep the Spectre down, and I don't think they're doing that just yet. He's only died once and has 2 kills, and he's gotten a decent enough farm as well. He's sitting at 8,000. Just behind him is his own ally on that Invoker Impulse, sitting at 7,600.
I like the Battle Fury build on Ember. It's a little bit... I don't know. It's a little risky simply because he doesn't have much in the way of survivability, especially when you go the Phase Boots way of things. But the output is so severe that I think he opens up the possibility for someone like Tinker to just start throwing bombs if they don't focus him. If you don't focus one or the other, you have a bunch of glass cannons raining down. It's going to be up to Invoker to see how he can split up these teams, and at the same time, Darkseer bringing them back together and trying to just AoE him down. So we'll see exactly how things transpire. All 5 rotating right down as Jean-Pac's in a lot of trouble. Needs to throw up that kinetic field. He's shackled down. Ult onto 2. Revolution blinks in. Good vacuum to follow up. All of them are stuck in there except for the Familiars. And now Revolution goes down. 604 next on the list as Murata Ultimate sees what she can do. 604 gets away, but in exchange for the Tinker, who buys back immediately, we'll see what he has to pour it into and actually is right on the creeps. So Familiars looking to go down. Tinker not yet willing to initiate on anything because they're not high HP, and that fight ends with kind of a huge victory there for Wild, who came in a show of force, and Andrew doesn't die. As a result, Radiance is complete. Proof.
That's going to help out a lot. You said that it might happen, and I was surprised to see the drums, but before the Radiance, since he was farming so well. But the drums did help him survive a little bit. If any gank came his way, it definitely gave him some much needed HP boost. And now with that Radiance, he can successfully get into these fights with the damage and the survivability. But Andrew, he gets pulled back from the Blink Dagger lasso, and that's going to be it. W4 able to dish out enough damage on top of that to secure that kill, despite the Radiance coming on through. Didn't even matter. They do pick him off, but they don't stop that Radiance from happening. They didn't, stall that at all. So that might be a factor for them. We'll see how it pans out, but I think Bird's Nest has definitely got to put the pressure on Wild. But we saw this wall mode combo on the bottom lane, which panned out really well for Wild, especially considering the Disruptor got jumped on immediately, and I was actually surprised to see the TPs come through for him, but they did, and then the Vacuum just really secured that fight for them, and it panned out to be really good. Top lane, Impulse does take down Big Bad Bird, gets away, barely dodges the arrow as Evs is trying to set something up for his own team. Impulse not out of the woods just yet. They're going to chase him down. W4 coming on in and gets chained off as he is alone in the top dire lane. Ghost walks. Is there any form of reveal? And there is not. There goes a sentry actually down, but he's now out of range. They're going to try and burn him to death, and they do it. They do get the kill finally on Impulse. It took a while, but they managed to do it.
Sometimes you just gotta throw up as much AoE as you have and hope for the best. They're going to exchange it for the bottom tier 1 towers. Andrew Riley and support company are down there taking it down. It looks like Rolo is scouting things out with an Invis rune, has mech to his name as well as Blink, so great form of initiation or even counter initiation if need be. And we saw exactly how good the Disruptor combo was the last team fight around. Those exchanges I think are acceptable losses. Look at the output, though, that you have Andrew kind of throwing towards this tower. Half healths it simply through auto attacks and I guess the joint force of a siege creep, but still, Tinker should have taken care of it. Doesn't manage to rotate over there till much later. They recognize the fact that bad things can happen. W4 top again, snakes away. Will Andrew be able to follow this up? Chasing down W4, he's out of mana. He's going to go down to the burn alone, but man, he almost got away. Had it not been for Haunt having that global presence, it wouldn't happen. And Ev's going to get sniped out in base. Yes, Invoker, you are my freaking hero, man.
And that's why you go Sunstrike, I guess. That global presence on Wild's side is definitely paying off. They got 2 kills there, so can't go wrong with that. Got to get some props to the Darkseer and Vengeful Spirit as well. Vengeful Spirit TP swapping the Ember away, so he was closer to the tower and not further to his allies. So really great set of plays from Wild. I think they just had a really rough start that first game because we didn't see great plays from them, but these last 2 games, they've been playing fairly well. Big Bad Bird in some trouble now. Called out alone from Andrew. Familiars are there to try and help out. Revolution jumps in, but actually misses the blink on top of Andrew, so they couldn't secure that with the lasso, though. That would have been a dead Spectre. No one nearby to help him out.
Man, you just don't want to talk at all. You just want to, like, man a camera. W4 in a spot of trouble. Port's forthcoming. Bird's Nest trying to position themselves so Ember lives, but he will not. Big Bad Bird still getting in nonetheless as their hard carry element is down. Impulse next on their list if they can manage, but Big Bad Bird goes down to AoE alone as the Forge Spirits are also present, so dealing so much damage in a short span of time. Invoker may yet get away, trying to get out of range of the towers, but instead pops wand. It's not enough. He dies, and it looks like the extra 2 from Wild won't be able to finish out, so it's a 3-for-2 exchange. Invoker runs the wrong path and ends up going down, but the exchange is for a very hard carry late game Tinker, which is yet to come into full form, and a hard carry Ember Spirit who has not been able to do anything because he doesn't have the health to, and Andrew still free farming bottom while contributing with Haunt if need be is huge for his team. His GPM has to be just skyrocketing here. I'm gonna wrong. Oh, nope. Current gold per minute. There we go. You ever. All right, 481 versus 356 on Tinker. Ember has tapered off dramatically. Looking at the gold graph, it reflects it. You see all of a sudden it just becomes this avalanche. 10k in favor of Wild. Experience is the same way when you win team fights. That's kind of what happens. And it's funny when reflecting on graphs in games. You should almost know how the graphs read, and I know a lot of people get upset in terms of casting. I understand if you're newer to games, but experience graph, depending on kills, is almost always going to be in favor of the team who has the majority of the kills, if not always, because kills give so much experience. Some of it is subjective, but that's almost 100% of the time true. Disruptor picked off mid lane as I was going off on my little rant. Yasha picked up for the Andrew Riley Spectre. Haunt comes out to try and defend this as Too Much of the Machines wipes out the creep. Andrew getting involved. Evs on the list to get killed here and swap up on Bat. Instead, they are on the incorrect targets of one another, but Invoker backs him up, manages to down the Tinker. Can they take down Evs? And they do. Port not going to be able to get off in time. Blink Dagger on cooldown for Batrider. He's not going to go down unless a huge Sunstrike comes up. Sunstrike narrowly misses 604, but I don't think it was enough to kill him anyways. And Tinker buys back. See if he supports top right now as W4 is on the lamb. Doesn't have a remnant. Glimpse right back into an ultimate. Rolo there to follow it through, and they have enough damage between supports. No, remnant away. Static Storm expiring last second. No Haunt to follow this one through. Prove, and W4 escapes by the skin of his teeth. That would have put him in a horrible predicament at 2 for 3. He does have 5 assists to his name, but Visage is the only one who has a truly positive KD rather than just dead even versus the 3 positive KDs coming out of the Wild side.
Yeah, Visage is doing really good. I'm curious to see if Big Bad Bird is going to have the option to really get into this game. Bottom lane, though, they do manage to single out Andrew, pick him off before anybody can come to his aid or he can get out of there. So great pick off for them. They do deny the tower on top of that, so getting some gold in their way and denying gold to Wild. But I know Tinker farms fast and stuff, but I don't think he's had a magnificent game sitting at 2 and 6 and 124 CS. So I wonder if we're even going to get to that spot in this game that Tinker is really going to be a huge factor right now. Carrying the game is really that Visage as well as Batrider and W4 trying to make things happen, but I don't know if it's enough. Batrider didn't have a great start earlier on, so he does have that Blink Dagger and Force Staff, but nothing else to really tank him up or anything to that regard. And other than the initiation, that's pretty much all he is. So we'll see. We need this Tinker to start doing stuff. Evs, the support Mirana, isn't going to be a huge factor.
Because he's not doing anything. He wasn't in the middle of that last team fight just bearing down.
He
it's
did,
just W4 was dead.
He did get Andrew.
Please, Tinker, no suicide del Reno. No, he kind of jumped in, and that was pure suicide with W4 down, but there wasn't much else they could do. What is he going? Broadsword? He's going to get crits? Circe? All right. Sounds good. Sorry, we're getting a little bit more informal as time rolls on in the evening, simply because we're getting tired. This is game 3. We're already 30 minutes in, and last game was 50 minutes, and this is starting to be a rough one. This is the most Dota we've probably cast in a while. What was last week? Or sorry, Monday was like a 15-minute game and a 20-minute game, and we were like,
my
"Woo,
gosh,
high
it was
five,
awesome.
let's go eat."
Yeah, we bolted out of here. Literally, we Ever literally said that after the cast. He's like, "All right, I'm going to eat." And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to bed."
Well, I came home for food. No, you said husband time.
I did say husband time.
All right, married person.
Yeah.
Impulse blinks into trees and they know this sucks. Impulse is in such a rough spot. Lights out. Haunt coming. Good Darkseer ultimate. Trying to see what he can pull. Evs is now subject of interest. Mirana ultimate. Do they have dust though? And it doesn't look like it, but the AoE alone from Andrew will be enough to kill Evs. Will it sneak out W4? And it doesn't. Footsie and company waiting in the jungle to kill him in exchange for just the Invoker. Unfortunate turnout for Bird's Nest, as they thought they had a freebie, and it was indeed a mistake from Invoker, and he was so panicked he didn't really cast anything. I probably would have been invoking spells in the meantime, praying to God I didn't die.
It was just funny though, because he totally trapped himself in this corner, and I don't know if he thought he was going to be safe or if he was baiting out them to come because he knew his allies were nearby. I don't know. I think it would be a very interesting time to be in the team fight, because or not the team fight, but the team chat rather, because I have a feeling most of Wild might have been just laughing at Invoker kind of walking into the woods and just kind of being really obvious about it. Batrider looking for a kill here. Might just last with somebody. Blink Dagger does go on cooldown, unfortunately, so he's not going to be able to jump on anybody. They do back up, and they get out just fine. But Roshan is now available for either team to take. The shield is now burned on him. They're not going to let Bird's Nest take this easily, but at least Bird's Nest are all here now. W4 joining the fight, looking to defend against Wild, getting this Roshan very easily and quickly. Impulse back in the fight as well. Has his own Blink Dagger on top of that. And we're kind of at a standoff at this point. The other team really wants to engage. If you go up this hill, it gets very, very sketchy for Wild.
Darkseer is going to YOLO in. Rollo in.
He's Darkseer. He can do that. Rollo in. I like it.
He's got it. Just believe in him, team. Andrew Riley gonna go up the hill, brave the storm. There is a March in the Machines there to greet him, but it's not even gonna matter. They're gonna walk right through, see who they can find. They find some Forward Spirits, but that's it. Big Bad Bird thinks they're roshing, or is just maybe trying to be janky. I don't even know where he's going. Where are you going with this, buddy? Tornado, seeing if they can find him, can't find him. Evs jumps away and no one's there.
This is a pretty big Roshan standoff. I mean, neither team is going for it. They're just kind of trying to
It's going to happen right here. Tinker can't do anything. He's going to blink into the trees right now. I don't know if he blinks right now, he's not going to have enough time to get down the hill, but he has the cutoff in the trees. March comes forward. I don't think it's going to deal enough. Yeah, it doesn't. The creep goes down. Who got that plus 200? Oh, Tinker got it, and it actually zapped him. Interesting. All right. Initiation bound as Andrew Riley is going down, able to get away so far. Mirana ultimate to back up the initiation, and a Disruptor ultimate that catches almost no one. It just stops Bat from lassoing the Invoker, but it's too late. Doesn't matter. Haunt forthcoming. The Illusions don't have enough weight on them to down anyone, as his health was far too low to expend that, and therefore they trade an Invoker for an Aegis. Not a bad trade, as I still think they have every right and advantage in the following fights here shortly, but looks like Bird's Nest is going to try and at least get something else for their troubles in a tower. So Roshan is about the equivalent gold of a tower, a little bit more for the tower, but doesn't really matter. Interesting.
This first tower they took down.
Tinker got zapped pretty hard there. I'm surprised they weren't able to take him down.
If you kill that creep, that's something you definitely don't want to do.
Yeah, well, it's incidental contact. I mean, he wasn't aiming to kill it. He was just aiming to damage Andrew, which he did, and Andrew wasn't useful in there, and he did live. So not all bad, just a little bit worrisome when you have someone like a Darkseer that can vacuum you down to the low ground if they weren't careful enough. And he had done it once earlier on in the game. I think it was against like W4 in middle. It was beautiful, but it was kind of a do-nothing. W4 was in no position to die at that stage, if you remember.
Yeah, he was super slippery earlier on, and I think there's enough lockdown now from Wild that it's not as big of a concern for them as W4 was earlier on in the game. But Ember does pick up that crit stick now, so definitely upping his damage output quite a bit more. Roshan is in the hands of Wild, though. They do have the Aegis on Andrew O'Reilly. They find Revolution out in the woods, though. He's going to try and get out of here with that Force Staff. Gets glimpsed back right into the fray, into the Ring of Doom, and he does get killed off here. Really quick, easy kill for Wild. Really not a whole lot of effort on their part. Didn't have to use any major ultimates other than that swap out of the Visage, or not Visage, rather VS. So Push can come on through. They have map control for sure. They're trying to put the pressure on W4 as well as Big Bad Bird. Rolo dealing with Big Bad Bird on this bottom lane. Look at him man up. He Rolos once again, but it does not pay off this time. Almost Inspector is going to try and secure that. Radiance Burn is going to burn even through that Banish stick, so not going to save him from that, unfortunately. The push comes on through to this top lane. It's a pretty big gold lead too. It's 45k to 60k. So Wild is definitely taking this game by storm. Tinker is so great. Even Ember Spirit, they're both great heroes at stopping pushes. So I don't think these pushes are going to be easy for Wild unless they get some crucial pickoffs, and they might just do that as Ember is just rolling all over the place back to his remnants. He gets to safety. Vengeful Spirit gets picked off from Visage with that Soul Assumption. Great pick up on them. Batrider goes in. Revolution with the lasso onto Impulse, pulls him back, and that's the trouble with pushing into a base like this with these heroes, is you have some really great initiation and a lot of heroes to burn down these creep waves very quickly. Ember still on the hunt for somebody, but he doesn't find anybody.
You have Tinker slow rolling the high ground no matter what you do. I think it would have been fine for Andrew to just kind of suicide in there. The longer he participates in that fight, the better off he is in dealing damage simply because of the Radiance. He needs to kind of get Tinker snuffed out early, and they did, but at the same time, they took a lot of damage as a result, and if they're not willing to have him die, it means they're not ready to go to the high ground. They need to be able to stomach that first wave of what's going on with Tinker in order to be effective. Andrew, subject of interest here against these Visage familiars. Port forthcoming on Tinker. Tinker's going to manage to at least take him out once if they're careful. Good mech so far. We'll see what he can do. He's going to turn this on Evs. Good follow-up there. Manages to pull down the Mirana, and they'll see if they can follow up on Big Bad Bird, who actually used the Ghost Scepter, I think a little bit miscued, because he took a ton of damage from that Radiance in the meantime, and that's all he was taking damage from. And now, in the background, Revolution trying to get involved. It's going to get immediately taken out if they can follow up with damage, but instead, he starts going up. Disruptor ult, W4. W4 is still alive and well so far, able to kind of blink away, but the actual static storm coupled up with that Thunder Orb going to take him on down, and it looks like it's victory again for Bird's Nest, as Andrew is not able really to lock that many people down. What is going on here with these fights?
Yeah,
super confusing.
Well,
I mean, I know W4 goes down and Andrew doesn't, but still, Bird's Nest is getting gold they probably have no right to, with a 15k gold lead, with experience now dipping right back. And again, tell of the tape when you have 24 kills going the way of Wild, 21 on Bird's Nest, and the experience is almost tied up, you know, a pair.
Yeah, that is a little scary. And towers, too. On top of that, all the exterior towers are down on the Dire side, and only one tier 1 has gotten taken down on the Radiant. So definitely some gold to be had for Bird's Nest, and I don't think Wild can really afford to give them those kills in these team fights. And like you said, it's not really important kills that they're getting on Wild's side, but for Wild, they're getting the Ember Spirit, they're getting the Tinker, so they're getting some really crucial kills on their side, but you can't kill off that Spectre, and that definitely is going to be a problem for you. As this game nears late game, we're already 37 minutes into this, and when we get to the 45-50 minute mark, Spectre is just going to be insane to deal with. Sure, you might have a Sheep coming up on that Tinker, but I don't think it's going to be enough to deal with Andrew. He's had such a solid game so far.
We'll see. I mean, Spec is an extremely hard carry as you get into the later stages. Partially because she just outputs a lot of AoE with the Radiance, and then can just live almost endlessly. Grabs a heart in a matter of moments here. Once he farms up enough for the recipe as well as the VIP booster, has enough for one but not the other just yet. But look at how much he's just plowing through these lanes. His attack speed is extremely quick. If he singles any one of these heroes out with that haunt, he will just eat them alive. Visage familiars, he has an Ags, and I haven't talked much about items since the Blink Daggers were picked up. Let's see how far Tinker is away from Hex. He has Ultimate Orb, needs the staff, and now they're going to have a go on Impulse. Gets caught out top lane. Port follow-up from just about everyone. Haunt, though, is in there. Will Spec choose to follow, and Andrew actually elects not to go in. Probably the better decision, is all three heroes were relatively high HP. Instead, elects to go on Evs, who is mid lane, and manages to take him down with Rolo coming to mech him up and see what they can do. Tinker kind of coming in, blinks away immediately, so Rolo can't stop that blink from occurring. Not much Darkseer can do there anyways. Even if the Ion Shell connects, I don't think it's considered damage that cancels out blink. It very well might be, but here nor there, he's going to be able to blink away pretty quick. I just really, in terms of items, I don't know exactly what is going to be the difference maker in these fights. I guess if Tinker gets up a dual Hex rotation on a Vengeful Spirit, great, but once he finishes up Heart, he's going to be a hard customer to kill anyway, so he's purchased half of it. I think it's a recipe on the courier, now headed towards the shop. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Okay, so recipe on him. Who's building Ags? Is that Darkseer's point booster?
It could be Disruptors. I think an Axe would be really good. Yeah. Because if
Yeah.
you get that, you're going to silence the items from Tinker, and that's what you need. If you can prevent those dual hexes from coming out, that's going to help your team a lot, especially that Spectre. Yeah. So I think, I'm curious if he is going to have time to farm it, though. He's buying a lot of support items in those wards, so it's going to be a late Ags.
She's super mech support. A thing? They already have Batrider mech. That was miscommunication. What the hell?
Yeah, you're right. Batrider does have mech. That's weird.
Bird's Nest, come on. First mistake you made all night, guys. Jeez.
I am noticing a running theme here, though, in these games. It seems like Bird's Nest really good at getting pickoffs on Impulse. It seems like every time Impulse is pushing a lane or out of position, and Bird's Nest manages to get a few really great pickups.
Go for the crummy pun.
I'm not going to do it.
You need to.
We have enough crummy puns in our
cast.
Rather
impulsive on going into these lanes.
Oh, ever.
Mission accomplished.
No, guys, I'm sorry. I couldn't prevent it. I tried.
No, it was too.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was a setup. Anyways, no, it really speaks to the way he's playing. He's in these lanes. He's not able to do much else other than try and farm in the meantime. Andrew Riley eating an arrow from downtown. Not going to do much, though, as I don't think they have any way to follow this through. W4 checking with the Remnant to see if Roche is up. It is in the respawn window, but it is not up yet. Andrew follows up, gets a dagger, has good movement to try and take him down. Glimpse back, and they... God. Must be nice. That's all I gotta say. This must be nice. Disruptor ultimate to try and stop him from getting to that Remnant. All right. Yeah.
So, can you push still? I mean, the Disruptor ult is such a huge factor.
Why not? There's no need. They're gonna push into a Tinker. I don't think it's viable.
There's no vision here. Even if smoking up and baiting it, I think they could do that with Roshan too.
Ooh, swap out of Footsie, and they have a kinetic field up. Still able to get away. Ult on top of 2 from Darkseer. They managed to grab hold of Rolo with the lasso. Going down is W4. If they can follow this through, Haunt is going to finish off 3 right now. Big Bad Bird, if they can manage to finish, he's stunned. Can he finish? No, he can't. He actually doesn't get it off, but that is almost a full team wipe, and I eat my words as Wild goes uphill on Bird's Nest, and they do not have the setup they needed in March of the Machines. Fortification expend. Big Bad Bird goes down. Ultra kill for Andrew Riley, and taking down the house is Wild on game 3, finally.
I think the problem here, Ever, is that Radiance does not deal enough damage. Obviously, it needs another 5 damage buff. Couldn't kill off Big Bad Bird with that Radiance burn, but he does get him twice in the process, so it works out to be alright. But I think it's funny how Radiance just keeps getting buffed. I think it didn't start at like 45 or 50, and over the past year and a half, it just keeps going up by 5 increments of 5 every single time. So trying to make Radiance a bigger factor in these games, but it couldn't finish off that Tinker despite being Ghost Sceptered and taking a lot of damage from it. Just 1 or 2 more ticks and it would have been enough. Min-racks do go down, and I don't think there's too much of a leg for Bird's Nest to stand on after that. It's getting really rough for them. Ember Spirit does finish up that Daedalus as the Invoker on the other side picks up a Lincoln. So pretty tanky on his part. He can actually use that on some other crucial heroes, like say the Spectre, like we were mentioning earlier, using it on some carry heroes instead of yourself. So definitely some options there for Invoker. He's got He's got all click to use items on top of having like what 15, 20 skills. It's a lot of micro.
Super Michael.
Yeah, Super Michael.
I'm sorry. Casey coined the term, and we must carry on.
We must. Roshan's gonna go down here. They can't stop it.
I don't know. This is kind of slow.
Spectre can't get in there. Oh, they do. It's back in 2 seconds. Yeah.
Please.
W4 is just
please,
gonna
Andrew,
get blasted
please.
down here. They've got to know what's going on. Well, there's no one farming here or anything, so it seems like it would be kind of obvious that they would be in the Roshan pit at this point.
I don't know. Well, it's not going to come up in time.
It
might come up right after. If he does it right after, W4 is so dead. Oh, God. He's going to just die. Oh, God. That's got to be painful. And Tinker is down. Beyond godlike, Andrew Riley picking up a Visage for his trouble. Will they manage to get the W4? No, they don't. W4 always reminds me of WD-40, not to interject with too random comments. But I always just, I don't know, impulse shouting it out, being a kid.
It's all right.
All right. Anyways,
it's one of those games.
5-man Wild trying to come up the hill, and they do manage to get up. They pull W4 in, but he actually just throws up a well-placed strike. Doesn't deal much damage, and that's been really the story here. They can't deal enough damage to this Spec who's just eating him alive. Roller throws an ult, manages to catch 3. Buyback's forthcoming. Again, Ebbs goes down. Revolution gonna go down right in the well if he's not careful here. Nearly goes down due to a cold snap placed by that Invoker, and Wild is just on a tear. They're going to manage to finish this off if they continue, but look at Big Bad Bird putting up a defense. This is what they need. Andrew Riley finally gripped up. He doesn't have the Aegis. It was W4, and so they still managed to get a lot of Bird's Nest down. Their Tinker is just charging up too much, and they're going to have to retreat as a result of diving the well instead of actually taking a barracks, which they probably had rights to, unfortunately.
Impulse.
Ooh, Tinker, did you make a mistake? Yes, he did. He made such a mistake. He goes down, and now they're going to get a Rax. Why? Why?
I don't know what Impulse was doing up here either, but he also went down. Not like it matters because there's still the Spectre and the Darkseer to keep pushing.
No, back. All you have is a W4.
Hey, he's scary. He crits, man. Gotta be scared of that.
Yeah, he's got like a Daedalus against his heart that is friggin' active. He's got 3,200 HP. What are you going on about, Proof?
He's scary. You don't
4
know.
Drum
He's gonna like pull out. He's gonna pull out a divine or something. You never know. Look at this 2,700 gold. That's what he's saving for. It's got to be a divine.
It's not gonna happen.
It's their only way back.
No, it's not.
They gotta do it.
Don't listen to Proof. Oh,
Proof.
man.
Teaching people how not to Dota.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't pull a Proof. A Proof is like a 0-11 Crystal Maiden.
Hey, that's like my best hero. Actually, Raptor is my best hero.
Yeah, but except for the fact when you send people back to like kill us and you give them a free out. I'm like, please don't send back.
That only
please,
happens with you for some reason. I think I subconsciously do it just to piss you off.
I know, he like kills me. He's at like 10 HP. I'm like man fighting, and then Proof just sends the opponent back.
It was
like,
just as bad as when you picked Sniper, and then I picked Enigma, and you had to like solo Sniper. And wait, you were super pissed
and
at
you
me that
started
game.
screaming YOLO holes. Did we win that game?
We did win that game.
Okay,
good. It was
good.
awesome.
Oh yeah, but I didn't get any farm.
You didn't. You had nothing. But then you somehow ended up with an even score anyways. It was really weird.
I'm awesome.
You're like 0 and 8 for a while, and then you just got all the kills in these team fights.
Yeah, no, there's a reason why my team MMR has tanked into the ground. I'm just throwing that out there.
Whatever. We barely play. That's all on you.
I'm a good individual player. That's all I have to say.
I think it is really weird how like we cast and we have such good chemistry, but then like we never hang out. We never even see each other. We literally like show up to cast like 20 minutes before we cast, and then we leave right afterwards.
Whose fault's that, huh?
It's probably mine.
Yeah, it's
maybe a little bit yours.
No, married life, man.
Yeah, I know. No time for Dota, unfortunately. I try.
You can make time for Dota.
Yeah, I'm getting Trevor into Dota too.
I know.
So
okay,
awesome.
Finally, yeah. I was just gonna.
It only took like 3 years.
Oh man, it's never gonna happen.
What is this? What is this pause? All right, Impulse. Well, he's still in the game, so that's good. At least he hasn't disconnected. Sorry for our little side rant, guys. It's getting late, and we're kind of getting a little silly and goofy.
It's all right. I think we have the right to be goofy. It's late. It's something like
is.
12 o'clock on the East Coast. It's almost 10 o'clock here.
And
I'm
two
not a,
50-minute
I'm not a
games.
fan of her.
It's been a little bit a little bit of a wild game.
Why hate on the proof? What is this, chat?
That's all right.
Why you do this?
People are entitled to their opinions.
I'm
and
a fan
this
of you.
This isn't my best cast ever, so
yeah.
it just
I
means
know.
I have more chances to impress people in the future. So it's fine.
That's all right. No, you're the only girl I know who can manage team fights. Last I checked.
It's hard, but
Yeah, I
I
know.
love doing it. Like that's why I love casting. Is I love casting team fights. I think it's totally exciting.
And this is why we synergy cast. Just so you guys know, we don't do the play-by-play because Prove is very needy.
I am.
That's all right.
I need both ends.
Butterfly finished up on Andrew Riley. He's got 796. If he even kills 1 or 2 here, he's still not going to have enough for a buyback. So if they look to engage, they're probably just going to win, I imagine. 26k, Jesus Christ. It's 10k up on the Emperor Spirit. Actually, no, I can't read
so
that.
Huge.
That's 11k. Kyle, all right. Great job. Anyways,
you can't
yeah,
math or read ever.
I know.
I'm so disappointed.
Disruptor not close to Ags. Sorry, this is devolving. Visage hasn't gotten an item in a while since he's finished up. Neither is Bat. Bat has had his 4-staff Blink and Mech for some time now, and then the Mirana was building Mech, and I'm assuming hasn't finished. Okay, because he's turning it into a pipe because he realizes his mistake. How unfortunate. What does pipe provide them here? I guess Radiance Burn. But it's like 47
Invoker,
minutes in.
Radiance,
Does it matter?
Darkseer.
Yeah,
There's
but 47
actually a
minutes.
lot.
What does Radiance Burn do 47 minutes in? I feel like it's too late.
Yeah, you do the wall mode combo still from Disruptor, Darkseer, and Invoker, but I don't think that's the problem. I think Sheep Sticks, just like pure Sheep Sticks, would have been the way to go to try and deal with Spectre. But at this point, it's too late. Like, you have to be a little more proactive about Spectre and not let her just run rampant. And that's the problem with Spectre. If she gets going, it gets really rough. Like, she can totally hard carry. I still firmly believe that Spectre is the hardest carry in the game, hands down, even over Morphling.
Man,
she's so good.
I guess.
But it's hit or miss.
I think it's just too late for her to go damage items is all that's happening right now. We're just like suffering through this game. Like they robbed Evs of his off lane, all right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
The guy's like my little brother.
He's like your little brother.
I know. They robbed him of his off lane. Now he can't do anything. The Bat Rider didn't do anything with the farm. All right, team. Let's get into the game here. 2 right on top here as Andrew goes over into the jungle. Will get spotted out. Tinker not able to lock him down as we finally get back into things. Tinker has enough to finish the sheep stick, but has yet to kind of finish it. Does he? Yeah, he does. Okay, good. I can math. All right, so he does have enough. There he goes. What is he? Wait, what? Why? Okay, yeah. Well, you didn't have to drop anything, bro. What did you drop stuff? You don't even have to drop bottle to shit. Okay, anyways, I'll stop being hypercritical. You didn't have to drop stuff.
Seriously, Ever, be nice. I always have to tell you this.
I was just confused.
I always have to tell you to be nice.
He's dropping. All he has to do is right-click on the item.
I don't know.
All right. Anyways, looks like Impulse is going to try and catch Evs out. Evs leaps away. They are marching up middle. They can easily take out the top tower, which sits at about 342 if they elect to do so. They have Haunt at the ready as Andrew is cutting off this back lane. Sells his drums, 2700 G, able to buy if he wants to do so. And what does he buy, Proof? Is he Rapier? Andrew?
You could. They're far enough ahead that, yeah, if he sold... What did he sell?
Drums.
Drums, right. Yeah. Sorry, zoning out a little bit. Yeah, I think it's divine time.
Arrow forth coming
on
Andrew in a lot of trouble if they can follow up damage, but not in any trouble, it turns out. Darkseer waiting in the wings to blink in. Rolo looking for a good initiation. Here it comes. Fuzzy jumps in. Good ult. Traps W4. Vacuum right into the center. Ult at Andrew Riley. Exploding left and right as Bird's Nest is. Mirana is going to go down in the background. Bat Rider next on the list. The only one going to get away is Big Bad Bird. Beyond godlike Andrew Riley spells the GG as Wild come crashing the party inside the base 49 minutes into this game.
Oh god, the chat. Oh, this is what happens when we get tired and we start like actually chatting instead of casting. It starts up. I think that would happen with like any female caster though. with a co-caster. I think the Twitch chat would kind of react like that.
Probably.
It probably
Oh,
would,
well.
unfortunately.
I apologize for the late game pause tonight. Thanks for sticking around, guys. That wraps up week 6 for us. You can catch us next week on Monday and Wednesday. Monday on PlayCEVO1. Make sure to follow PlayCEVO2 here as well as on Twitter at CEVO-CEVO. And we will be back next week. It is 8 Central Time, which is weird to say. So 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern Time. We'll be back with some more best of 3 action for you as we head into week 7 of 8 weeks of CEVO before into the playoffs. E-Hug dominating this tournament thus far as Wild goes up 6-for-5 tonight and has a contention, so very well may end up in the winners bracket as we move on. But that's going to be it for us this evening. My name is Ever. You can find me on Twitter at EverX and Prove at ProveDota. Thanks for sticking around. Sorry it got a little bit informal, but such is long games, 2 15-minute games back to back with Wild as your victors. And Prove, I'll let you have the last word as we head out for the evening.
Yeah, guys, make sure you join us on Monday. We will have yet another cast tonight, or that night, with Ever and myself. So be sure to join us then.
Oh, do I have to webcam then? Like, is that a thing?
I think
where
so.
Actually,
So make sure you're like,
screen.
you know, do your hair and stuff. I know you're usually like on top of that kind of stuff, but you got this. Yeah, so a new splash screen is coming for you guys. So when you load up the video on Monday, you'll kind of see Ever just hanging out there. Hopefully he's presentable and you guys, you know, will chill and hang out and whatnot. But yeah, join us on Monday. We'll actually be on PlayCEVO1. So twitch.tv/PlayCEVO1. Helium and Chicago Ted, I believe, are on PlayCEVO2 that night. So not sure what game we'll be casting, but I guarantee it should probably be a pretty good one. And yeah, be sure to follow our Twitters like Ever mentioned earlier. I think that's about all I have to say. I'm getting pretty tired here, so I'm going to head on out and go to bed. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. It was slow chatting for a while, but the party definitely got rolling, and it was great to hear you guys chatting about the game and whatnot. So thanks a lot for joining us. Have a good night.